My school teaches me to see for myself. I used to think I didn't like school, but now I know school is much more than I thought, and the classroom is everywhere. When I look at the ocean, I see math and science. When I look at the ʻāina, I see technology and art. When I look at our culture, I see it all.
Aloha. Mahalo for joining us for our presentation, Kanaeokana, Developing a Network to Transform Education and Sustain Aloha ʻāina. Metaphor in all indigenous peoples is an important part of how we remember and how we relay those things that should remain within our culture. For us in Hawaii, ʻāina is an important physical as well as metaphorical thing. Even though we cannot be there physically on your ʻāina, we would like to honor the indigenous people of your place, the Kulin Nation. We acknowledge, recognize, and respect the ancestors, elders, and families of the Boon Wurrung, Wada Wurrung, and Wurrung of the Kulin, who are the traditional owners of the university land in Victoria. ʻāina in Hawaiian culture is that which feeds. ʻāina is that which sustains, and ʻāina sustains us. ʻāina is beyond land. ʻāina truly is what sustains the people of Hawaii. There is an olelo no eau, a wise saying, that is, o vai ko kupunahine, o ka ʻāina no. O vai ko makuahine, o ka ʻāina no. Or, who is your grandmother? It is land indeed. Who is your mother? Oh, it is the land indeed. First, we would like to open by emphasizing the ike, or knowledge, inherent in the natural world around us, a foundational concept in Hawaiian culture and education.
Mahalo nui for having us join you today and for joining us as well. So who is Kanaeokana? Kanaeokana comprises over 70 preschool to college level Hawaiian focused schools, educational and community programs, and supporting organizations. As you can tell, this is a very diverse membership of Kanaeokana, stretches from many different types of organizations, and that's truly a strength of the network.
In our culture, names define us. We don't ask, what's your name? But we ask in Hawaiian, ovaiko, who's your name? Because who you are and the name that's been given to you anchors you. Anchors our aspirations, anchors our decisions, anchors the choices that we make as we live and grow. We also don't just name people, we name houses, and we name canoes, we name everything, and we name organizations like Kanaeokana. As you can see, the nai in this photo is a fishing net. It's also the word that we use to describe the backing of our beautiful feather capes that our chiefs wore. But if you look at the nai, it's made up of a lot of knots. As you can see, Uncle James Sago in it as he makes this net. It's a lot of work. It's tedious and it's time consuming. And it reminds us as a network that that's what we have to put in. We have to be able to commit to this work and commit to each other, tie ourselves together, basically, connect with each other. Kana was a demigod, and he had the ability to transform himself into cordage that would strengthen, support, bind, and it reminds us as a network that we too must be able to adapt and innovate and stay focused on the mission that we have as Kanaeokana to build this Native Hawaiian education system. So I'll read it for you, the mission statement, the Nu'ukia ala Nu'ukia. Kanaeokana seeks to strengthen the lahui and nurture the next generations of aloha ʻāina leaders by developing a native Hawaiian education system of collaboration built on a strong ʻōlelo Hawaii and ʻike Hawaii foundation. So within this mission, you will see the why, the what, and the how. But most importantly, I think we want to impress upon everyone that our mission is to grow aloha ʻāina leaders, young people who are focused on the future of Hawaii and looking at how ʻōlelo Hawaii, Hawaiian language, and ʻike Hawaii, Hawaiian knowledge, will carry us forward to protect and preserve those things that we hold dear to our hearts. It's patriotism. It's being able to connect ourselves so that we strengthen our spaces, fortify the work that we do in whatever area we choose, whatever area our young people choose to enter, the careers they have, that they do the best that they can. Because if we're better, the whole world is better.
As we reflect on the conference theme strand, working the boundaries, we think about the interconnectedness of organizations and people within Kanaeokana. And Kanaeokana works at these multiple intersections of ʻōlelo, language, of culture, of advocacy, of media, and of education, all toward the unified goal of developing a new system of Hawaiian education. There are some key factors that we believe have contributed to the sustainability of this network. They include cohesion and collective strength, because fundamentally the NAI reflects this underlying longstanding relationships that are built on and that build the network partnerships and collaborations. Also the shared leadership structure and active member engagement, assisted by backbone support and facilitation that have allowed for decision-making that is not hierarchical, that is flexible and adaptive, and is also responsive to community needs. And finally, concerted efforts to bring in new members and disseminate material have expanded our reach both within and also beyond Native Hawaiians and Native Hawaiian serving organizations.
So drawing upon the metaphor of the net, this photo illustrates the 6 work streams that bring to fruition our strategic collaboration goals. So the first one is the Komike Ho'okuluma ʻōlelo Hawaii. This committee seeks to encourage and facilitate Hawaiian language use in all sectors of society. Halau Oiwi is a committee that aspires to support community and family-driven efforts to provide after-school cultural experiences. The recruiting and retaining Hawaiian culture-based educators. This committee aims to encourage our young educators to, hey, come and join us in the teaching field, to support seasoned educators to continue in this field, and to also provide opportunities for our master educators to mentor others. Halau Ololo is a committee that focuses on securing funding to forward our collective efforts. The Advocacy Komike, a very important one, discusses and advocates for policy positions that advance our vision and mission of our network, and really, again, this collective strength when we all get to work together. And finally, the Komike Ho'olokahi, which aims to bring together our partners and to engage in this collective learning of students and teachers. And, you know, I also want to point out, in that photo, you know, Liezl is a part of a team called Ke'ala Iwi Kuamo'o, which references the backbone. And, you know, that's a really important part of our network, is having a team that is there to really support all of these work streams and keep us together. Because, you know, we all need that, is that binding that continues to tie those knots. And
we need to be managed.
Yep. You know, and so in spring 2020, when COVID-19 presented us challenges in our community, we really saw this as an opportunity to pivot, to partner, and to develop a platform that connects communities and families and global classrooms through cultural content that really got us excited. And we do this both in English and in Hawaiian. Over the last 4 years, our network has utilized social media to build this community. And guess what? We have over 450,000 followers. That's pretty exciting to me. What a community.
So as we conclude this presentation, we like to leave you with opportunities to reflect upon things we've shared today.
So for me, I like to reflect on the idea of networks as sustainable, and that sustainable networks can adapt to changes effectively and often rapidly. So in the case of Kanaeokana, the network has responded to really important and timely issues facing Native Hawaiian communities. So as you reflect on your own work, how do you understand the dynamic and evolving nature of your own networks, collaborations, and partnerships? Mahalo.
Oh, mahalo, Liezl. You know, kind of along those lines of partnerships, it always excites me to bring all my friends and collaborators together. And so my thought that I want to share with all of you and leave with all of you is call all your friends, all the partners and collaborators you've always wanted to work with of all ages, and tell them, hey, come, let's dream together, let's play together, you know. And I say lead from the future and act in the now.
Mahalo Malia. Yes, like tying together of the various strands of the nine, we all are coming together for the learning and education of our people in all of its forms, for today as well as into the future. So I ask you, what will you do to carry culture and educational dreams forward?
Mahalo Hoku. You know, the network, Kanaeokana Network of Hawaiian Schools, is our response to an educational system that we see is lacking. Lacking connections to Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian language and the very people who make up this beautiful space. And so we responded with gathering up as many people as we could, programs, agencies, schools that are focused on this very thing, making sure that we amplify the voice of our people, whether it's through their language, whether it's through their performances, their dances, their oratory skills. All of these things are important to us as Hawaiians. And we know that if we can find our own identity, our cultural identity in our educational system, we can be better, we can be stronger, we can be more viable. And so I ask you, if you've recognized the void in your own space, a void of the indigenous voice, the indigenous culture, and what would that indigenous culture-based education system look like in your space? Perhaps you might want to think about that and join in with us in this effort to make the global society better. We all have to do our own part. This is our part from Hawaii. So mahalo nui for the time that you've spent with us